and I wanted to do it bad. So they got me. I got the audition. I went in and I nailed it. I just read with the casting director, and I was her. Like I was her that whole day. I was her going to the audition. I was her. And when I got there, I riffed and I left. I felt so good about it. So about a week went by, 2 weeks went by, and I was on the phone with one of the assistants at my management company. And I said, "Hey, what about that Ice Cube project? What's the feedback on that?" Because I was like, I nailed that. They should have been. And she said, it's so nonchalant. She said, "Oh yeah, you booked it, but we passed." I was like, "You passed on my interest in character? You passed on my list? I'm trying to get out there. I'm like, I just wanted to do that list, get to mom, and then get to healing people, particularly healing myself." And when they said that they passed, I just saw like, and I was like, "You know what? Listen." She was like, no, Angie, listen, you're leading lady.
Can you put the mic blocking your face a little? Just turn it down.
Yeah, let me sit back up.
Yeah.
She explained it that, you're leading lady, and that's what we're building here. That's. I said, well, I had already been passed on by some of the bigger actors because I'm so tall, and I'm like, I get the leading lady thing, but I'm an actor. I'm an actor. I want this part. And you have until 5:00 to have any revised scripts on my porch. And if they have recasted it, we have a problem, because I wanted that more than anything. I had already started working on her. I knew I booked that when I walked out of that audition. I knew it was mine. And when I met with F. Gary Gray, I just knew it. But a funny thing, during rehearsals, I was hungry and tired. Yeah. But once we got on our feet, I was working a Meisner technique. So she became real. She became a real person. And some of the things that she went through, I just don't think warrant her being dismissed. I think it warrants patience. You didn't see her. She wasn't cussing at anybody. She didn't steal nothing. For me, and I know, other people have. I saw one comment. I read 2 comments, and then I let it alone when I talked about Felisha and how black women are treated. That's a black woman, and there's nothing else in our culture that's dissed as hard and is as dismissed. And maybe this is why black women sometimes exhibit undesirable characteristics, because she is dismissed, because she's not, Eartha Kitt said, I was, they always ask to lay me down, but very few ask, can they help pick me up? And that's with Felisha. And now life is imitating the art. And if you don't understand what the art actually really truly is, the art for Friday was, and they did such an amazing job. Ice Cube and DJ Pooh set out to tell the world what was really happening in Los Angeles in the middle of the 90s. We weren't just killing each other. We weren't animals like we were being portrayed in the media. People were afraid to come to LA in 95.
Right.
You could go out of the country. Even like when you go out of the country and you see the news, the mainstream news, they kind of expose stuff and they laugh at America. But if you were out of the country and they talked about Black America, it was the same thing. They were skewed. So Cube and Pooh did an amazing job, and they stuck to the task at hand. And the task was to show the world what was happening with Black families in Los Angeles in the 90s. And it was so rich. Yeah, there was Big Worm, there was Felisha, there was Ezell. Ezell was on crack. Felisha wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
There were all those components around, but there was also family.
Facts. So real quick, the role you play as Felisha, obviously, you had a positive impact, of course, which you still, like 30 years later, still, being relevant in the culture. But, talk about the negative impact you got from playing that role as well. I know that there's times that you've been outside and people, like you said, imitating the art. Yeah. So, like, speak about how you felt and, what negative things that you dealt with for playing that role as Felisha.
I think I lost the respect of my representation by doing it. I didn't respect their expertise and their wisdom, and I usurped it. And it made a splash. It was a big deal, but it wasn't what it turned into. And that could have went either way. That could have went really bad. Thank God. And you talk about lightning in a bottle. That was lightning in a bottle. We're talking about the middle of the Black comedy explosion. So you have the hottest, hungriest Black comics to ever do it. You got all this violence around us. And you have Pooh and Ice Cube, and it just came together, and it was part of my manifestation. I believe that my frequency is part of why, how I felt about it. I mean, the culture raised it up, but I just wanted to tell this young lady's story. And it's a story that should be told, and we tell it over and over, but we need to keep telling it until throw this bottle at you. Throw this bottle at you.
Why?
Because you're looking for clues inside of this story. I see you.
No, I'm not. No. I want to ask. I want to ask, do you regret taking the role because they passed up on the role? Did you look at it as a sign, like I shouldn't have done it due to the impact that it had on your life after?
No, never. I never regretted it. I went to the mountaintop on that. I got to do. I didn't regret it at all because I knew, once I got to the end of that list, I was out. And if I didn't do it, I would have kept searching, and then I would have ended up doing this, and I would end up doing that. And my son was calling. My son was calling for me. He was like, I'm ready to come.